Everyone remembers Luke Skywalker as the sweet farm kid who somehow saved the galaxy. But if you actually watch his story without the nostalgia goggles, you start noticing some interesting details. This is a guy who goes from whining about power converters to piloting an X-Wing in a galactic war in what feels like 5 minutes. And the craziest part is, no one in the rebellion seems to think that's weird. Then you start clocking the way Luke handles situations. He ignores half the advice he's given. He jumps into fights he's not ready for. And he trusts complete strangers because they have cool robes. The man's first lightsaber duel is against Darth Vader. No sparring, no warm-up, just straight into the boss battle. And yeah, he loses a hand, but he also learns absolutely nothing about pacing himself. Luke also has this uncanny ability to get his friends into trouble while trying to help them. That whole rescue mission for Han at Jabba's Palace Stelmi, it didn't feel like Luke was making it up as he went. One by one, everyone gets captured. The situation spirals. And Luke strolls in wearing black, like he's auditioning for the role of guy who will accidentally blow up the building. And let's not pretend he's the flawless moral compass the posters make him out to be. In Return of the Jedi, he's already dipping into the dark side toolbox, force-choking Gamorrean guards, threatening Jabba, and throwing out a death stare that says, "I will end you before breakfast." Palpatine didn't have to dig deep, he just had to nudge the cracks that were already there. But that's what makes him so fascinating. Luke's not perfect, he's reckless, emotional, and sometimes dangerously close to the edge. And yet, those same flaws are what make him unpredictable enough to pull off impossible wins. He doesn't just follow the rules, he breaks them in ways that somehow work out. Usually, in this video, we're going to strip away the shiny myth of Luke Skywalker and dig into the messy, complicated reality. We'll talk about the reckless choices, the moments where the dark side almost had him, and why his flaws might actually be the reason he succeeded. This isn't the golden boy from the propaganda posters. This is the Luke Skywalker no one ever tells you about. When most people think of Luke Skywalker, they picture the wide-eyed farm boy staring at twin suns, dreaming about adventure. The image is pure hero branding, the perfect underdog who rises to save the galaxy. But scratch the surface, and you start to see cracks in that poster-perfect version of Luke. Moments that make you wonder if the hero we celebrate might not be the full story. For starters, Luke's entire journey kicks off with him ditching his home responsibilities without much hesitation. Sure, his aunt and uncle's deaths were tragic, but within hours, he's signing up for a galactic war he barely understands. He doesn't stop to ask about the politics, the stakes, or what exactly he's fighting for beyond avenging a personal loss. It's impulsive, maybe even reckless. Then there's his early training. Luke isn't exactly patient, and patience is supposed to be a Jedi's bread and butter. He rushes through his lessons, skips crucial discipline, and bails on Yoda to go fight Vader before he's ready. We frame it as bravery, but it's also the exact kind of rash decision that gets Jedi killed. Even his victories are a little curious. Destroying the Death Star was amazing, sure, but it was also a desperate gamble with thousands of lives on the line. And Luke didn't exactly hesitate, he just went for it, trusting a feeling that could have been dead wrong. That's not just heroism, that's betting the galaxy on a hunch. The more you look, the more it seems like Luke's story is less about a flawless hero, and more about someone stumbling forward, making risky calls, and somehow surviving. And maybe that's where the real truth lies. The thing about Luke is that his recklessness wasn't just dangerous for him, it put other people in danger too. Think about the mission to Cloud City. Yoda and Obi-Wan literally begged him not to go, warning him it was a trap. And what does Luke do? He ignores them, walks right into Vader's hands, and ends up losing his hand in the process. That's not noble defiance, that's stubbornness with a lightsaber, and it's not like this was a one-time thing. Luke has a pattern of ignoring good advice whenever it conflicts with his gut. The Jedi Masters tell him to control his emotions, and he spends half of Return of the Jedi glaring at people like he's one bad day away from choking them with the Force. Palpatine saw it immediately, and played him like a game of dead. For all of Luke's triumphs, his story is riddled with loss. His journey begins with the charred remains of his home, the only family he's ever known gone in an instant. It's a trauma so sudden and so severe that he barely processes it before he's thrust into war. That kind of grief doesn't just vanish, it lingers. Then there's the revelation about Vader. Learning that the man you've sworn to destroy as your father isn't a heroic twist, it's a shattering of identity. Luke doesn't just face an enemy, he faces the truth that his bloodline is tied to one of the most feared figures in galactic history. That's a burden that no medal ceremony can erase. His mentors fall one by one. Obi-Wan sacrifices himself. Yoda dies before Luke can finish his training. By the time the war reaches its climax, Luke is essentially alone. The last of the Jedi, in a galaxy that has already buried too many of them. Even his greatest victory, the redemption of Vader, comes at the cost of losing him forever. Luke finally connects with his father, only to watch him die minutes later. It's bittersweet in a way that overshadows any celebration. The myth of Luke Skywalker is built on triumphs, but underneath, it's a story of someone carrying more loss than anyone should. And maybe that's why his victories feel so heavy they're paid for in grief. Despite all of his flaws, Luke's resilience is staggering. Time and again he's thrown into situations where the odds are laughably against him, and somehow he claws his way out. Facing Vader before he's ready, walking into Jabba's lair alone, taking on the Emperor's psychological games, most people wouldn't last 5 minutes. And it's not just about surviving. Luke learns, adapts, and grows in ways that are almost unbelievable, given how short his Jedi career actually is. He goes from a moisture farmer, who's never left Tatooine, to the man standing between the Emperor and total domination in just a few years. That's not just growth, it's a complete transformation. There's also the way he inspires others. His willingness to risk everything makes people believe in the rebellion, not just as a cause, but as something worth dying for. Leia, Han, Lando, they all see in Luke a spark that refuses to be snuffed out, no matter how many times the galaxy tries. When he walks into the Emperor's throne room in black robes, radiating calm, you can't help but feel the weight of the journey. This is someone who's been broken, rebuilt, and sharpened into the weapon the galaxy needs. For all the messy decisions, for all the stubborn mistakes, Luke still stands as proof that imperfection doesn't cancel greatness, it makes it more remarkable. Luke's story shows that heroism isn't about never making mistakes, it's about learning from them. Every reckless choice, every moment of doubt, and every failure shapes him into the Jedi who can resist the Emperor's temptations in the end. That growth is what makes his victory over the dark side feel earned. It's also a reminder that greatness can come from the most unlikely places. Luke wasn't born into the Jedi Order, trained from birth, like the old guard. He was a farm kid who stumbled into destiny and decided to rise to it, flaws and all. That makes him relatable in a way the old Jedi never were. He's not a perfect embodiment of the code, he's a person navigating impossible choices in a galaxy that rarely gives second chances. And he proves that second chances matter. His compassion is what ultimately wins. Not his lightsaber skills, not his force abilities, but his ability to see good where everyone else sees only darkness. That's what saves Vader, and in turn, saves the galaxy. Luke reminds us that you don't need to be flawless to make a difference. You just need to be willing to keep standing back up. But the dark truth about Luke is that, even after all his victories, the seeds of his flaws never really go away. The same impulsiveness, the same stubborn streak, and the same struggle with fear follow him long after the Emperor falls. And we see glimpses of it in the years that follow, when his attempts to rebuild the Jedi don't end the way he hoped. The tragedy is that Luke's greatest strengths, his passion, his willingness to trust his instincts, are also the things that can undermine him. They save him in the throne room, but they haunt him when he misreads the danger in his own students. In the end, Luke isn't the perfect Jedi Knight carved in marble. He's a man who wins great battles, but never fully escapes his own flaws, and maybe that's why his story resonates. It's not about untouchable perfection, it's about the cost of fighting for something bigger than yourself. His legend will always shine, but behind that glow is a shadow. A reminder that even the heroes we put on pedestals are just people, shaped by choices, mistakes, and the battles they fight inside themselves. And maybe the reason no one talks about that side of Luke is because it makes him uncomfortably real, which is exactly why we should. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.